Hey, Shalom. Man, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah Bahashim Akakwadash. Salutation to the elect, to you sincere chosen out there, those of us that have overcome the wicked one, overcome death, overcome this world, and pretty much our victory is in Yahweh Shai. So that faith that you're walking by, right? That faith that's guiding you, you're not trusting in your own eyesight, but trusting in the Lord, right? Even through the thick and the thin, even through when you're abounding and when you're abased, but completely trusting in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That is going to be your treasure, because as this world is getting more cold and the faith is leaving this place, the price of faith, the price of love, the price of a sincere man of the Lord, the elect, is just increasing more and more. This is why Yahweh Shai says he's going to make a man more precious than fine gold, because we're literally going to be that treasure that's hidden, that these people are going to be seeking for. Because guess what? We're going to have that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's going to be guiding us in this time of great deception, man. And hey, speaking of deception, you know, I'm taking a little stroll, and it's raining right now. You know, finally get some rain in Arizona, but the Spirit had me going into this topic right here, man, because Yahweh Shai, he spoke about the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Now, one thing we got to understand about all the parables about Yahweh Shai and everything he was bringing out, it was very important and it was very simple and straight to the point. Because when you humble yourself, you allow the Lord to exalt you. When you humble yourself, you're putting your life and you're putting everything that you have in the Lord's hand, and he's gonna exalt you. He's gonna lift you up, rather than allowing men to lift you up, or rather than allowing men to glorify you, man. This is why in Isaiah chapter 6, the scripture say, don't do things to be seen of men. Because when you do things to be seen of men, or you do things so men can praise you, you already got your reward. What's your reward? The praises of men. That's your reward. Man exalting you, you being on a high seat in the eyes of men. But when you truly humble yourself and you trust in the Lord, guess what? He's gonna exalt you to a level that man and flesh can never exalt you to, man. That man and flesh can never put you on. Right? So this is what the Lord, he was talking about, man. Let me start with this scripture real quick. Let's go to Matthew chapter 23. Concerning these false prophets and these false leaders, man. And you know one thing, man, because the thing about me, truly looking from the outside in, I can really see why some people, they call this the Hebrew Israelites a cult. Because when you look from the outside in, you can kind of see what the fuck these people be talking about, man. Our people, they're very simple-minded. Our people don't have no faith. Our people are very misled, and they're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And the ones that lead these people, when it comes from these different camps like GMS, IUIC, ISUPK, so on and so forth, man, these guys are the same spirits coming back. All right? And they're even trickling down. The ones that follow these guys, the men that follow these guys, they take on the same mindset that these guys have. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just one of the brothers that already have the spiritual power. I'm one of the brothers that actually unlocked my power, man, because I've been through thick and thin, and the Lord, he's really built me up, so I really understand what the Lord really wants. I really understand his will. I really understand. I came to the fullness of this truth, man. I'm not going around in circles, ever learning. I came to the point, and the point is love. The point is loving the Lord all your power, mind, and strength, and loving your neighbor as you love yourself. That all coincides with you keeping yourself low, because if you love the Lord, you're not going to seek to exalt yourself in this place, as the majority of our people have done. Right? So Matthew chapter 23 and verse 3. All therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe. So when you observe what these guys say, yeah, they're reading the scriptures. Yeah, the things that were in the scriptures, they're important. But their actions don't line up with the scriptures, man. The scriptures say do one thing, they do the exact opposite. But guess what? Because they have put themselves on high seats, what they do is they corrupt men. So they make men servants of men. So they put all these burdens on you. They throw all this shit on you. When really, when you think about it, we're in the second covenant. That's why the Lord, he tells us, don't worry about these high holy days and this, that, and the third, man, or the circumcision of the flesh. All right, because the main thing you're supposed to be focusing on is getting yourself right from within. All right, the main thing you're supposed to be focusing on is cleansing yourself, taking out that old leaven, that old man, that old nigga, so you can become a new creature in Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, he made it easier for us. These guys, they make it hard, because they're the same ones that put Yahushua on the cross. It says, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. Hypocrites upon hypocrites. These are the same guys that the Lord was speaking against. You see what I'm saying? From guys in these camps, from offshoots and guys not in camps, but they still are in that same Pharisaic mindset of following the doctrines of man for so long. They cannot cleanse themselves from the fucking filth of these camps and the filth of the teachings and the commandments of men. They can't cleanse themselves. This is why Jerusalem is the main place where judgment is going to start first. Let me keep on going down. But all the works they do for to be seen of men, to make broad the phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. They make themselves bigger than what they really are. They exalt themselves. A lot of these guys, if they had the chance, they will take the crown that Yahushua has and they will throw it upon themselves. That's how much demonic our people have become. That's how much demonic a lot of these guys in these camps are. I'm talking about every single last one of these camps. Now, are you going to have situations where you're going to have a few brothers up in there, just like you had Lot in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah? Because if Jerusalem's a people before it's a place, that means that judgment is starting within our people. But you're going to have those instances where the Lord, he's going to have mercy upon a few brothers, man. This is who this is for. This is who really, I've reached that point. I'm at that point where I know the Lord, he's with me. And I'm not bragging. I just know. Some of you brothers out there that are of the elect, you know. So we're being used to pull the few out the fire. All right, we already have the spiritual power. See, it says, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts and chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of man, rabbi, rabbi. Right? They love to be called elder. They love that shit, man. See, they love to be praised. That's the thing about it, man. They may act like they don't like to be praised, man. A lot of these guys, they love to be praised, man. You see what I'm saying? I can name names. GMS, South Carolina. You got this guy, Remnant Save. You got a lot of guys out there, man, that were just not right. You see? And this is bringing down this whole Pharisee pyramid scheme that these guys have set up. You see what I'm saying? It's heavy, man. It's heavy. So what the Lord, he told us, since I brought out that example of Matthew 23, because Matthew 22 is pretty much cussing out the wicked scribes and Pharisees. He tells us not to be like them. That's why our righteousness has to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. It has to exceed what they were doing, right? So if the scribes only love those that love them, the Lord, he told us to love those that even hate us. You see, if the Pharisees, they like to be sitting on high seats and they love the praises of men, the Lord, he told us not to do that. He told us to be humble, to stay humble, man, to stay lowly. You see, and what that will do, that will allow the Spirit to continue to dwell with you. That will allow wisdom, understanding to continue to dwell with you. That's what you want. So Mark chapter 9 and verse 33. And he came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked him, what was it that you disputed among yourselves by the way? So now this is Yahushua walking with the disciples, and he pretty much what happened was, if you can picture it in your mind, they were pretty much fighting, back and forth, because they were trying to see who was going to be the greatest. Now, all the disciples were heavy, you see, save Judas Iscariot. I ain't talking about him, but all the disciples were heavy in their own way. Yet again, check out what the Lord did. Mark chapter 9 and verse 33. And he came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked them, what was it that you disputed among yourself by the way? Right? Why were you guys arguing? What you guys arguing about? Pretty much that's what Yahushua is saying. But they held their peace, for by the way they had disputed among themselves, who shall be the greatest? Right? It says, and who shall be the greatest? And he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all, and servant of all. The Lord, he's breaking it down to him. He's breaking it down to us. The mindset that we have to be in, man. Not seeking to be preeminent. Not seeking to take the high seat. Because if you take a high seat, and let's just say, the Lord, he's looking at somebody else to be on that high seat. When he comes and you don't really belong on that high seat, he's going to say, man, get your ass from that high seat, man. And he's going to tell another person, come and sit down on this seat that is really prepared for you. You're going to be filled with shame, because you're going to be like, well, I took this seat and it really didn't belong to me. But when you keep yourself low, you allow the Lord to push you on your designated seat. So you're not going to be on the seat that you're not supposed to be on, man. That's what the Lord, he was telling us. That's not being practiced. The teachings of Yahushua is not being practiced by a lot of guys in these camps. Even though guys may read the scriptures, they're not living the scriptures. They're not applying the scriptures, man. There's a difference between knowing the scriptures and just reading them, and then actually applying them. You can't just be a hearer of the word. You got to be a doer of the word. Those are the ones that's going to be justified in the eyes of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them, if any man desire to be first, and the same shall be last of all and servant of all. And he took a child and set him in the midst of them. And when he had taken him in his arms, he said unto him, whosoever shall receive one of such children in my name, receiveth me. And whosoever shall receive me, receiveth not me, but him that sent me. So the Lord, he brought that little child in the midst of them, man, because he was giving that example. Because a little child, that's the importance of being born again, right? That spiritual birth. Because when you're born again, you're learning all over. You're willing to learn. You're willing to be corrected. You're willing to take the losses. You see what I'm saying? Give me 1 second. Pretty much what I just seen right now was it was like 4 or 5 helicopters, man. See, there's a battle in the land. This is the last fight. It's not against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities, man. This is it. And this is why these last videos are coming out, man, because the Lord, he's about to increase that power that's already in us, man. And guess what? When it gets increased, man, and this spiritual power, the faith, mercy, and discernment gets so heightened that it breaks and it enters this realm, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy, man. A lot of guys out there that say that are so-called waiting for spiritual power, waiting for new bodies, they're not going to get it, man. The ones that's going to get that power is going to take a lot of people by surprise, man. All right? I just had to do this video real quick because I was interrupted by those like 4 or 5 helicopters, man, those jet planes, man. And I think they were military as well. But with that, shalom. Like I was saying, I have to continue this lesson in the house. because my phone pretty much was at 5%. But the main thing is staying humble and allowing the Lord to exalt you. This is why the Lord tells us not to make ourselves many masters. This is why the Lord, he tells us not to take the preeminence. Now, the Lord, he's going to exalt you in due time. You just have to stay humble and continue to do what you do. This is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, "Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am in, therefore to be content. I know how to abase, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed, but both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Yahushua, which strengthens me." So the Lord, he gives us that strength to be able to do all things, man. And this is why he puts us through heavy tribulation. Because what that's doing is strengthening you, man. You know, it's no different than when you go to a gym and you put on extra weight to gain some muscle. Well, the muscles that you're getting in this spiritual battle is the spiritual muscle, man. You know, the patience, the faith, the mercy, the long suffering. This is what all these things worketh, because those fruits that's being perfected in us is getting us to be more like Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I'm pretty much gonna leave it at that. Let me get one more. Luke chapter 18 and verse 11. It says, "The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, saying, Lord, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, will not even lift up as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, Lord, be merciful unto me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted." Shalom.